Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Yanti. I'm from listening A, University of Muhammadiyah, Bulukumba. And now I will explain the material of definition of experimental. Right. The experimental research method is a quantitative research method used to determine the effect of the independent variable treatment on the dependent variable outcome under controlled conditions. The conditions are controlled so that there are no other variables besides the treatment variable that affect the dependent variable. So the condition can be controlled in experimental research using a control group, and often experimental research is carried out in the laboratory. There are four main factors in experimental research, namely hypothesis, independent variables, dependent variables, and subject. The hypothesis in an experimental research is the first designs set by the research being tested. Based on this hypothesis, the independent and dependent variables and subject used for the study can then be determined. In experimental research, the number of independent variables can be more than one. Gordon L. Fetzer, 1996, states the number of independent variables can be singular and or plural, can be qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative and quantitative values can occur in experimental research. Example of variables: the color of an item's packaging, the quantitative variable of the price of the item. Okay, quasi-experimental. Definition of quasi-experimental is quasi-experimental, or also known as quasi-experimental, have a control group but no function fully, or quasi is controlling external variables that can affect the results of experimental research. Quasi-experimental is a research design that involves at least two sample groups, namely the experimental sample group is given treatment and one other sample group as the control group. So that the characteristic of quasi-experimental research. Number 1, there is treatment or treatment given. 2, the manipulate group. 3, non-random sample. Next, the sample of research in the quasi-experimental according to Rukmini et al. 2020 are as follows. Number 1, the sample of experimental group is treated using a learning strategy or model whose level of effectiveness will be tested and treated with the usual learning strategy implemented. Second, then the two sample groups were given a post-test the result of empirical data were analyzed and the results were compared with statistical tests between the experimental group and the control group. Next, if the results of the post are higher than the pre-test, it can be concluded that the learning model or strategy provided is effective. And conversely, if the results of the post-test are lower than the pre-test, it can be concluded that the treatment given is not effective. Types of quasi-experimental. Number 1, pre-test, post-test, using a control group without random assignment, non-equivalent control group design. 2, time series design with control group, time series design with control. 3, counterbalance design. Okay, thanks for watching in this video. See you next time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.